Welcome to this edition of Bridges Over Barriers. Bridges Over Barriers helps meet those gaps that our students and our parents may have in our school district. And today we're going to discuss some things that really impacts our families during December and January. So I've got three key people that work for the district, all with various jobs, and a little bit more like, and whatever extra hat we put on your head. So joining me today is Janae Sutton and Rudy Garcia and Jessica Durance, who is new to our district, brand new. So we're all excited about you all joining me this morning. Janae, starting with you, tell us your role and just a brief history that you have with Hardin County Schools.
Thank you, Gina, for having us here today to share on this very important topic and conversation. I'm Janae Sutton. I'm the Director of Health and Family Services. This starts my 10th year. Actually, in January, we'll begin my 11th year in that position, my 27th year with Hardin County Schools. As the Director of Health and Family Services, Gina, work with many important programs that help children, families, and also staff members be successful in their roles here at Hardin County Schools. Work with the school nurse program, all the Healthy Kids clinics, our nurse practitioners. Very proud with that partnership with Cumberland Family Medical, in addition to all our other health partners in the community like Baptist Health, the Lincoln Trail District Health Department, and we also work with our Department of Public Health at KDE level and so forth to make sure that our students have what they need for their physical and mental well-being. And part of that also is contracting with many other local community agencies. We have about 10 to 11 community agencies that we contract with that if a student needs school-based therapy, then they can have that as well. Some other programs that I work with that are very important to the success of our children and families is the Family Resource Youth Service Centers. Those coordinators that serve our schools are key to the many successes that happen to eliminating those barriers that those kiddos might have. Also work with our 504 coordinator, Tiffany Darnell, anybody that has special health care needs that might need special accommodations or modifications. The different social workers, Department of Community-Based Service in our local community, and a lot of our local community help agencies such as Warm Blessings, Helping Hand of Hope, just any of those individuals that can bring resources to our children, to our families, to our staff members, so that they can eliminate those barriers and be successful in their education while they're here with Hardin County Schools.
Well, you're perfect in your position. I mean, you're passionate about our kids, everybody in this community, so you are ideal.
Okay. We love our kids, we love our families, we love our staff. And education, learning, all those opportunities that come from our teachers, that come from our books, those cognitive sides of things, there are so many other aspects, the mental well-being, the physical well-being of our students that we know is equally important, and we value that our Board of Education, our leadership, superintendent, all the way through, all of our staff value the whole child, the whole staff member, in order to make them healthy so that they can be successful.
Great. Rudy is a star.
Yes.
He was recently named the counselor of the year for Kentucky. Pretty amazing.
Yes.
Talk about your experience with Hardin County.
I'm Rudy Garcia, and I work as the district social worker under the title of Student Support Specialist. So basically under that title is supporting the student and basically hitting off on everything that Janae said. I try to bring in the resources from the community to help the students and the family. I am the PBIS, the Positive Behavior Interventionist Coordinator for the district. I'm also on the Trauma Informed Care Committee for the district, where we train the counselors and they train their staff on trauma informed. I also work with College View, which is our alternative school, and I work on that and helping the students, first trying to prevent them from coming to College View, and then the second is once they successfully complete the program there is transitioning them back to their home school. But the biggest thing is, like Janae was saying, is bringing the resources from the community that are there to help. I also work with Judge Shoemate on her committees on doing juvenile justice, on preventing students from getting incarcerated or from going to that, what we call the school to prison pipeline. And that's one of the things that we're doing. We're doing great things, not only with Hardin County Schools, but also with the different communities, partners that are out there to help prevent that. But that's basically what We
need
do.
to spotlight that program to tell the community a little bit more about that. So we'll need to get Judge Shoemate in to the two of you to discuss that program a little bit more at length.
That would be great.
Yeah. A new person to the district is Jessica Durant. Of course, she's not new in terms of she went to Hardin County Schools. And for those of you that may live in the North End, she is Kim Durant's daughter, who is an amazing teacher, amazing educator. So you definitely have a good tradition of learning and excellence in your family. Jessica, you're new to the district. The role that you serve in actually was created a few years ago, and it helps our homeless population. So talk about that.
Yeah. So I'm Jessica Durant. I just graduated in May from Campbellsville with my MSW. So I'm a social worker like Rudy, but I am overseeing the Family Stability Program. So our main focus is working with students and their families who are experiencing some kind of housing instability. So that's maybe they're not homeless yet or eviction is happening, something like that. We try to work with them to see what we can do to make sure that they are able to stay where they are or find them some type of housing in the meantime.
Now, I know you were getting your feet under you in terms of traveling around and seeing what's going on presently. How's that feel so far?
It's been really good being able to go into all of the schools. I graduated from Central, so go Bruins, but it's been nice to go to all the different middle schools and elementary schools. I know several of them have completely new buildings, so just getting to see where the FRISC coordinators are and how they run their center and what their space looks like, and just getting to talk with each of them individually has been a lot of information. Just getting to know, because the population differs even just from school to school, different sides of the county, so just kind of getting to hear what they see as the biggest barriers for their students.
I think community members might think, well, how can they be homeless? They come to school every single day. So what does that look like?
Yeah, so
instability.
So that can look like a couple different things. They sometimes it's just a matter of we have families who are what is considered doubled up. So they're staying with maybe a friend or a family member, and maybe the person who owns that house or has letting them stay has kind of reached their point where they're like, can't stay anymore. So that's considered something that we would work with. I mean, we even have families who have been living in their car, and so we're getting students to school, but if the student is worried about where they're going to sleep that night, or, I mean, if they're going to have food, we work with things like that too. It's really hard for them to focus on the learning portion of the day while they're kind of in survival mode.
What are numbers? Can you share that with us?
Yeah, so the last count that Lynette had was 125 throughout the district. So we haven't, like you said, I'm kind of getting my feet under me. So actually today's the first day that we're working with referrals starting today. But for the last week, I've just been kind of learning as much as I can, meeting with community partners, and just kind of getting a good knowledge of what resources are available to students.
Great. This time of year, we have a lot of community partners where we're trying to help support families in need. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to bring you together to discuss what is available out there and how do individuals make those connections. So, Janae, do you want to start with some of those?
Sure. I'll start by highlighting some of our holiday assistance that's going on even right now. If you are a family within Hardin County Schools, it's important to know that as soon as school starts, you receive a flyer that shares what's going to go on in the community in December for holiday assistance. We know that time of year is special. It's also key for some students getting that new clothing that can make them feel so confident when they walk down the hallways of the school, and even a special entertainment fun like toy item and so forth. So back in August, our families, all of our Hardin County School families, received those flyers to let them know the entire month of October when those sign-up dates are. Some families did have some resources, and they chose to be part of our Affordable Christmas program. And that's where our FRISC coordinators have worked with Helping Hand of Hope, and Helping Hand of Hope, Hope Burke, and her folks there have worked with a lot of our local faith-based partners. And at those churches, the next couple of Saturdays, families will go shop for a set price. They will be able to purchase a very, 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 very discounted rate and select items, wrap them for their children, shop for them, and they feel that pride and that integrity in picking those items out. We also have our wonderful Sheriff's Department, our EPD, Radcliffe PD, Vine Grove PD. We couldn't be more blessed with our law enforcement that do our Shop with a Cop program. I've worked very closely with Officer Chris Coleman and Officer Chris Denham, who are just men of integrity and honor, and they work with their Fraternal Order of Police, and they have raised so much money, and they do the Shop with a Cop program. Looks a little different with Vine Grove, Radcliffe, and E-Town. E-Town officers, they actually, the students, the families, excuse me, shop, and then they deliver those items to the homes, which is really neat, and they get that special interaction with our law enforcement. Radcliffe PD and Vine Grove PD meet them there and actually shop, and the parents take those items home and so forth with them. And then we have the Salvation Army with Officer Chris Streck, who works very closely with Leslie Hall and all of our other frisk coordinators. And those are individuals, so if you haven't had an opportunity out in the community and you're wanting to help during the holiday season, please go to the town mall or some of our other local locations where you can pull an angel for a tree and you shop and you bring those items back, and they have those items. And then you also can call any one of your schools and ask to speak to a frisk coordinator. A lot of our staff in our school district loves to adopt angels. So that's kind of the immediate resources and so forth. But it's important to remember that team of mental health counselors that are there to talk to folks. This season is wonderful, but as Rudy and Jessica know and share with being in the social work, the times that some of us are super excited to focus on family, just me, myself, my parents are both gone. So it's a time of reflection and a time of sometimes those losses that whether the individual has passed away or they just don't have anybody special. So I do encourage you to look local, a lot of community. There's St. James, a lot of our local faith-based partners having activities that you can come to. And while you might come alone, you won't feel alone because there'll be so many folks there that can share with you. And I do encourage folks to get out and not just stay in their homes. It's cold, it gets darker. That affects our social emotional well-being. The fact that if you are in a normal 9-to-5 job, when you're driving home, it's dark. When you come to work, it's dark. When you go home, it's dark. Those are things that you need to know about yourself. Make sure you have some good, healthy interactions, whether it's folks in your workplace, folks within your church. Just somehow be looking for those things that are out in the community that are being sponsored, because we really do want to help. Not just Hardin County schools, but the Hardin County community is truly blessed by the many agencies, organizations, and faith-based partners that just sponsor the many events and so forth, not just within the schools.
Rudy, talk a little bit about that emotional stress. And a lot of times, in the past, I would say, oh, little ones, they don't have any stress. It's Christmas time, they want to see Santa. But our 4 and 5-year-olds, they can suffer stress too. Isn't that true?
Yes. And like you said, a lot of it is the social emotional, especially now that we're coming back from a big lockdown like the COVID caused. A lot of our kids from 5th all the way, even grown-ups are going through that issue of coming out, like Janae said, come on out, enjoy yourself, go through the park and drive through those lights and see, just come out and do something. Because a lot of our kids were, really young when we started the COVID, now they're older. Some of the things that we've noticed within the schools is also, like, if you notice some of our younger middle school kids, they're still acting a little bit like they did elementary because they didn't get that social growth that they should. And some of our middle school kids, high school kids are acting like middle school kids because they didn't have that social growth. And we can even see it in the universities too, because I teach part-time for the universities, and I see a lot of our college students that are still acting like high school students, but it's not their fault, and that's what we got to understand. And a lot of our kids are going through that issue. We are blessed to be in, like Janae was saying, in Hardin County, because this Thanksgiving was just phenomenal on how many organizations in Hardin County were just having meals for people to come out. And I just watched it, and it was amazing. And it's a blessing to be able to go, one of them was Sign of the Dove, Warm Blessings, of course. There was different church-based, faith-based agencies that were doing that. But a lot of that helps the kids get back to their social, emotional state that we want them to be at. But it affects the younger ones more because their brain is still developing. A lot of it falls back on the neuroscience of what of how our minds grow, and if there's any trauma or anything that causes a break-in, there also causes the emotional and even the behavioral issues. That's why we see a little bit more behavioral issues across the district, and that's what we're trying to prevent and help. That's why we bring in the trauma-informed care. That's why we have PBIS. And just to understand that we need to be positive with these kids. I'm not saying there doesn't need to be any consequence, because that's a big one. I think a lot of people get that mixed up. They say, well, if we want to help these kids, then we don't hold them. No, we can still hold them accountable, but we can still love them and tell them, hey, this is why we don't do this, and show them. And a lot of the things FRC is doing, Frisky is doing, I think there's, and Janae can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a parenting thing that's coming up, which is very important, because a lot of these parents reach out to us all the time and ask us, what can I do? I don't know how to handle this situation, whether it's a teenager, whether it's an elementary kid, how do I work with this? So we try to provide those classes. Even with College View, the alternative school, we do, every semester we have one parenting class where right before fall break, we bring in the parents, and then we give them some stuff they can work with during the break. Then they come back the week after, and then they discuss what worked and what didn't work, and we give them more information. And that's where our community partners come in hand with the therapist, Cumberland mental health people, and also like Wellfront, we have therapists and case managers. And I think that's where we're increasing a lot within the schools, is bringing in those outside resources into the schools. Like she mentioned, there's a lot of people that have organizations that want to help them come in. Of course, they have to go through Janae, make sure they're right for school, for the district. But once they get in there, then we can provide those resources for the families.
Yeah, it's amazing. Do you think when parents are in that depressed state, or that, the parent is suffering just as much as the child, so who can help identify that, and say, I think, do you need any help? Let me help you. Is that something that our care providers do, our counselors at school, Friskies at school do that to help identify?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's important. Our Frisk coordinators and Jessica, who will be working intensive case management with our families, I think that's why it's so important to build those relationships. We work with our students, but we are fully aware that we have our students 174 days and only 6 hours a day. They're with grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, extended family, or sometimes they're just staying with some neighborhood folks. And but those adults, if you can make sure that you build those. We do home visits. That's something that Jessica will work with families going into wherever they're living, whether they're living at a hotel or whether they're living in some type of transitional housing with neighbor friends and so forth like that. But our Frisk coordinators, our school counselors, they do get out, they do go into those homes. And it's also important for our kiddos, when we work with them, that we understand it's not just the child. And we talk to them about the family setting and these contracted partners that Rudy is sharing with. So if there is an educational implication, if the child is experiencing some type of mental health issue and it's interfering with their learning, that's where school-based. But if it's not necessarily, because some kids are very good, they can come to school and they can tuck it all in, and they do well. They surprisingly, knowing everything that's going on in their lives, they do extremely well. But yet they still need somebody to talk to. And that's where those contracted-based partners, or a list of our many resources, we can connect. And families, children, can go to the clinics, just like you go get your teeth cleaned, just like you go have preventative, your well child checkup once a year. They can go to those, whether it's monthly or weekly sessions, that those absences would be excused if it's during the school time, and then sometimes they have after. And then with COVID, we've seen telehealth be increased and so forth like that. Telehealth's not something we do or focus on in school-based therapy, but it is something that after school hours or before and so forth that we've seen families to use, yes.
Jessica, when, and as you identify those that struggle with having a home, that type of thing, what are some of the processes that you can help them? Are there community partners that help individuals like that or families like that find shelter?
Yeah, so there's a lot of, they've named a lot of the community partners that we have, but there are so many outside of just our school district that assist with helping with deposits or rent once we find a place for a family. Like they were talking about food boxes, there's lots of places to do that. Warm Blessings, outside of doing their dinners and things, they also have a place where families can do laundry or take showers if that's something that they need. So just kind of finding out, every family, every student is going to be different. So the first thing is just kind of getting to talk with them, asking what's going on, kind of asking them what they think, what's at the top of your list, what do we need to move through first. So we can help with lots of different things. But I met with Goodwill Industries of Kentucky. They can help with like job training and job help. They have a Cars to Work program, so when we have families who don't have any way to get their kids to school, don't have a way to get to work, they have a process for helping families get cars. So there's just a lot in Hardin County that's just grown. I mean, going through the resources from the past as I moved into the office, the resource page was like a front and back page for Hardin County resources, and now it's a 45-page PDF.
Wow, that's awesome.
amazing.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
grown a
amazing.
lot.
I think it's also important to highlight for those families, because when you experience whatever's going on in your home or with your family, that Jessica's work is to help break the cycle and not continue the cycle and to stay in those behaviors and things that are happening. She's going to help you get your GED. She's going to help identify those resources to where you can pick yourself back up and be where you need to be in life and so forth. So you would start with your FRISC coordinator, and they'll do a basic like referral, and then they'll connect you with Jessica and so forth. But I just think that's a key point to remember, is that we want to break that cycle, give you a hand up, not just a hand out.
Right. You are learning from your experience
Yes,
and
yes.
moving forward, and also giving back, because many may have been in that situation and they become a great advocate
Yeah.
for those.
And one of the things that that is, you asked earlier about how do we get that information out and how do families find out. A lot of it is what we're doing now right here, and also word of mouth. Once you help a couple of families and they get a positive feeling out of it, they reach out to each other. I get phone calls all the time, and they're like, "Hey, I heard you help so and so. I need this, and this." And again, the first line of our I guess you would say offensive to help these people is with the Frisky, and that's who I send them first to, is go to your school first, get with the Frisky. If for whatever reason there's nothing comes out of it, then contact me again. But 99.9% of the time, their Friskies are there. They're awesome. They've been doing so much stuff with the community lately. They've been organizing too. That's another great thing that we've seen in the last couple of years, is they're coming together as teams and doing stuff within the community outside of school, for the parents to come in, for families to come in, for outside agencies to come in. So that's one of the great things that we're doing in Hardin County.
For individuals that would like to donate, all those opportunities are out there. So is there a place where they could get additional information, Janae or Rudy, about where to donate?
If any organization, because we've seen folks, we have some Northern Inn social fraternities who have been absolutely amazing and so forth, just contact myself, Hardin County School website, 270-769-8824. Give me a call or email, and we're happy to connect you to what your heart is, because a lot of times folks that want to do the fundraisers and so forth, they have a pathway. Some folks are aiming to help individuals that have a military background, or some are wanting to help children who are going, or families that are associated with a certain skill set and so forth. But we can match those donors up with who they would like to, and definitely fundraise. Jessica, Rudy, myself, we'd be happy to come talk at their event and just share what the needs are at the current time, because that's what a lot of folks want to know. Our American Legion, Cat's Kitchen, German Kitchen, so many folks, State Farm, Neil Atcher, they'll just call and say, hey, we've got a group, they want to give, but they want to give what's needed. So just give us a call, because as with the ebb and flow of things, different things are needed at different times of the year.
I know that in the past, some people say, well, they got 5 turkeys a household, okay, because they were getting things from different groups and things. I'm a little bit like, 5 turkeys are great. I can't cook turkey every day, though.
No.
But I do think that as a community, we've done really well with combining those resources too.
That is why, like, in just one small example, the holiday assistance. with Salvation Army, Shop of the Cop resources, Affordable Christmas, and multiple churches. While our Frisk coordinators, they have continuation program plans that guide but they, while they don't oversee, they help connect, so there's not, for lack of better words, double dipping.
Yes.
Because we want to help as many folks as we can,
Exactly.
not a certain. So we want to honor those donor dollars and let them know that the integrity of the system and making sure folks are being checked. So that's why we're good to organize those resources and make sure that there's not double dipping.
Jessica, how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I have just the regular Hardin County at KY Schools, jessica.durance@hardin.kyschools.us. And then my phone number for the office is 270-769-8849.
It's like getting on that phone number, right?
Yeah, I know, I'm working on it. Yeah.
Okay, and Rudy, how to get in touch with you?
Mine is, you can get same way, rudy.garcia with the Hardin County School email, and my phone number is 270-832-7235. I'm never in one place long enough, so that's my cell phone. So if anybody can reach me at any time, I'm here. I want to say 24/7, but my wife won't let me say that. So up until about 9 or 10 at night, y'all can call me. Just joking.
As you can see, these individuals really love their community. All of us do. And seeing a child with that big smile on their face as they're getting their present or whatever, there's nothing more important than I can imagine with doing that. So if you'd like to volunteer, if you'd like to donate, if you'd like to give a little bit of yourself, please give these individuals a call. And we want to wish everyone a wonderful, happy, healthy holiday season. And so thank you for joining us for this Bridges Over Barriers.